Welcome back to Umbrella Rebellion and our continued deep dive into IBLP's Men's Manual. Editing D here, I cut the last video in half because it got a little long. We stopped off on step 6 and we discussed a little bit about step 5 and the tracking of the family. So we're going to move on. Number 7, give your family a cause to live for. A person without a cause is like a car without a steering wheel. A person with a cause has the motivation for learning and the basis of discipline and sacrifice. A family with a cause is a family with unity and fellowship. The cause, which every Christian must understand and be committed to, is the continuous conflict against the deception and destruction of Satan. We must put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Ephesians 6:11. This is a life and death struggle for individuals, marriages, families, churches, schools, businesses, and governments. Satan's lie to every person is that he or she can be like gods in deciding between what is good and what is evil. When any person depends on his own reasoning, Satan wins. The cause of a dynamic family is learning God's principles and becoming mighty in spirit so that each member can effectively cast down false reasoning and bring every thought to the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:4-5. Winning this cause means leading friends and neighbors to salvation and helping fellow Christians grow to spiritual maturity. See Colossians 1:28-29. So give your family a cause, but here I'm going to give it to you for you. Your cause is winning people to Christ. So I want to talk about this cause thing for a minute because this is something that I struggled with when I was in my late teens, early 20s, of trying to figure out what my life purpose was, right? I imagine it's very common for children in their late teens, early 20s to struggle with this. And the way this is worded, a person without a cause is like a car without a steering wheel, meaning that if you don't have a purpose, you have no destination, or you can't direct your life without a cause. I find this teaching very damaging because a lot of late teens, early 20s is about discovering who you are as a person and what you want to do with your life. And not everybody has it figured out by the time that they're freaking 20, right? This is being taught to all ages because in the cult, if you're going to have family time, it was everybody in the family from newborn to if you still had adult children in the house. So there was no distinction between, well, this might not apply to you. It applies to everybody of all age. And it puts an incredible amount of pressure on young children, teens, early 20s, to figure out what their purpose in life is very, very early. And if they don't have it figured out, then they are deemed a car without a steering wheel, right? They have no direction. They're lost. They're ambling about life without any direction, and that's when Satan gets you. And we know the teaching, right? Those of you that have been in IBLP or in similar teachings, you know what all that means. So for those of you who aren't aware, it is essentially telling you that if you have no direction, then you are worthless. And unless you have a direction, then you can't possibly find purpose in life. A little bit of a mixed message because they always talk about being content where you're at, being content in the present, but then also you need to have, like, I understand you can be content in the present and also have plans for your future, right? Where I find this most harmful is that if somebody doesn't have a concrete plan and they're just going through life, being content with where they're at, trying to figure things out, it doesn't seem to be acceptable to this cult. And that's where I found myself when I wound up in headquarters as a 22-year-old. No idea what I wanted to do with my life, no idea what my future would hold, and trying to get the future that the cult wanted me to have by serving in some type of ministry, finding a husband, all those things. And so I really didn't have the freedom and ability to do some discovering and figuring out after I left the Air Force. And so I jumped into situations that were not right for me. I think that this might be a common issue with a lot of the survivors where they didn't have necessarily a direction or purpose, and they weren't allowed the ability to figure it out, make mistakes, and learn and grow. Everything was pretty finite. So this being step number 7, and how to use this book is finding a purpose for your family. By the way, let me give you your purpose. Lead your friends and neighbors to salvation and help fellow Christians grow. What is the purpose of encouraging people to find a purpose if you're just going to tell them what it is? Why don't you just say, here's your purpose, and I'll tell you how to do it? I don't know. We'll continue on the steps of how to use this book in the next video. So let me ask you this question in the comments. Let me know if there was something in the teachings that you had a similar experience with of feeling like you were pressured, or if you felt judged if you didn't have a purpose, or what your experience with this kind of teaching was. Was it a benefit to you? Was it a hindrance to you? Did it make you feel like pressured, or did it feel encouraging to you? So I kind of want to see what some other people's experiences were with this teaching. See if I'm alone in this or not, but I have a feeling I'm not. And also, I wasn't raised in it. So coming from it at a different angle, those of you that were raised in it, how did you perceive this as a young child if you were exposed to this teaching throughout your time in IBLP or ATI? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode. If somebody has not told you today or ever, I am proud of you.